So it is fixing to superstorm here in Arkansas for like the next 4 days. We're supposed to get like upwards of almost 15 inches of rain. So let's get some stuff done in the shop. What's Ron got going on?
I am fixing a Toro deck. It got beat up, so
sure did.
It was ripped all the way back here, so I had to spot weld it back on a little bit so we can take the torch and get this hot so that we can hammer it back out into shape, and then I can re-weld it.
And a little bit of spray paint, make it.
A little bit of spray paint.
A little grinded.
Yeah, a little bit of grinding, make it look pretty.
I'm just messing with you.
Now that's how I weld, you know, weld pretty with a grinder.
And what's funny about the deck Ron's welding on this Toro is these were the blades that were on it. Like, you can tell with that one, end's completely gone. And as you can see, there's only 2 blades sitting here. This mower takes 3 blades. 1 blade was completely gone. Now, we definitely want to get this deck put back together for the customer because brand new, this thing's over $1,100. And that's just for the shell without the spindles, brackets, and pulleys. So you might hear the guys working in the background, but I got to get on my repairs because it is going to come a flood in about 2 hours and it will sound like a stampede on the roof. And I can't film when that happens. So let's get her done. First one up on the bench is a customer, a commercial customer's Echo CS7310P professional saw. And this poor thing, it is going to be a fail for today. I can tell you right off the bat, but I want to show you what's wrong with it. I got to order some parts. Now, the Echo 7310 is a 72cc saw. It is the biggest chainsaw that Echo makes, and this thing goes for about $1,100 before tax. And I know you're going to say, gosh, he really doesn't take care of his stuff. Y'all, these are commercial cutters. He's using this chainsaw every day for the last 4 years in some of the dirtiest conditions you can possibly be around. It's actually in pretty good shape. But unfortunately, when he dropped it off, he did say the things I do not like to hear. My spark plug keeps popping out. That's not good when your spark plug can just go all the way in and all the way out. Guys, we have no threads. Alright, let me see if I can show you here. Yeah. Now this is purely caused from wrenching down on your spark plug way too tight when you're putting it back in. And I have 2 options at this point. I can either helicoil it, which works sometimes, or I could replace the cylinder. I'm going for the cylinder because although, yes, you can put a helicoil in it, and a lot of people attest that it's, just fine, I have found that it might work in homeowner saws, but it does not last that long on commercial customers. So we'll set this one aside. I will order some parts for it, and it'll make a great repair video. Next up on the bench, I have a customer Stihl FS120, one of the best trimmers ever made. Now, this is a bike handle one, which I personally don't prefer, but the reason I don't prefer working on bike handle is because you run into everything with the bike handles. While you're using it, it's probably actually a good thing. But I definitely see he's got a broken primer bulb. He said he just couldn't get it started. Obviously, it's not priming at all. Let's dig in, see what's going on. Now, the first thing I want to do, remove the plug, check the piston and cylinder, just make sure that we're not working on a burned up machine. Ooh, been running a little lean. Well, we still got 130 pounds, so that's good. All right, so I broke out my HD endoscope, my cool one with the articulating end, and we're going to take a look down in here. Now, the top of the piston looks beautiful, but there is, let me see if I can show you, that side is not that bad. It doesn't look that scored. It's more of varnish. We got a lot of varnish up in there, so hopefully it's not that big of a deal. So we're going to check this primer bulb, fuel lines, fuel filter. A lot of times when the primer bulb cracks like that, the fuel lines aren't far behind it, and we'll just see what it needs, and hopefully it's something simple. we've got to remove the choke lever first before we can pull this base, the air filter base out. So you'll just get in there with your flat head and pop it on out. And I'll pull this fuel line out of that little notch right there, and we should be able to pull this whole thing off. Alright, so we definitely have some hard fuel lines here. I'm going to go ahead and replace those for them. Now this is the one coming from the carburetor to the purge bulb and the one returning the fuel back into the tank. The one going into the tank still makes really good fuel lines. These last forever. Alright, I'm going to get these old lines off so we can use them to measure with. And while we have this out, we're going to go ahead and change our purge bulb out. It's just got two prongs holding it in there, so you could usually just push one side. Oh, well, the other prong was broke off of that one, so. Go ahead and pop a new one in. There is a little notch that you need to look for. See, there's a little notch up at the top. That way you know which way to line it up in there with the prongs. Just like that. Now to replace these lines so he's never going to have to mess with it again. I could put Tygon, but eventually that will harden. I'm going to use this Echo fuel line that I've got. This is the 90014 size. It's slightly bigger diameter than on the outside than what I normally use in most of this stuff, but with this grommet, I know it's going to seal really great, and it's going to fit the inside diameter for these nipples just fine. So I'm going to use the Echo line. And I'm going to go ahead and put in a new grommet because this one's about hard. Slide our fuel line through here. Oh, I don't even need to do my needle nose. There we go. And I could use this piece that came with the grommet for my top line going to the purge bulb. So on these purge bulbs, you've got a short nipple and a long nipple. The short one sucks, the long one blows. So the short one sucks, always sucks the fuel through your carburetor, and the long one blows it back into your tank. So we know that this one is going to return it to the tank. So it's going to go to the long nipple. Short one sucks, so we're going to put that right there. And we should be able to put everything back together now, unless some of my lines might be too long. I'm going to put this one back through here. I might have to trim something up, but maybe not. We'll see. Yeah, this top one is going to be too long. Well, it's as long as that one, but that one was curled up too. So let's just take about an inch off, see where we go. While we put it back together, we want to try really hard not to pinch any of our lines. That one goes back to there. Don't pinch. Just like that. Before we put her back together, we're going to make sure she's going to prime. Perfect. And grab this with our grounding wire here. Now when you put your choke lever in, there is a D shape inside this that has to go on the shaft off the carburetor. Pretty much if you just pop it in here, eventually you'll get it in the right spot. So now that's off choke, that's on choke. I'm gonna pop in an air filter and plug. Let's see if she starts. Ooh, it's looking like it's fitting to come. All right, we got her on start, choke, parameter. Take her off choke. Nope. She needs some help. She's been sitting for about 7 months. That thing is a beast. Now currently it does have a little bit of a slow takeoff unless you give it a few trigger pulls, but that is completely normal for something that has sat for 6-7 months. The diaphragms might have gotten a little hard and they need to work themselves back out. Now a lot of times you can do this just by running it. It'll get better and better every time you run it, but it's not something I want to necessarily start adjusting the carburetor for and giving it more fuel, because if I do, it is possible that once those diaphragms do get loosened up, it'll start getting too much fuel and then flooding out. So my cousin lives next door and she just brought her tractor over because she said it was cutting unlevel. Immediately I stopped her and I was like, dude, look at this. It's hard to cut grass when you ain't got no blades left. Girl. So we're going to pull this in for her real quick and get her some new blades. Alright, let's find her some blades here. We've got 46-inch cut. We got two 23-inch blades. No wonder she was cutting a strip through a yard. There is no way. Oh yeah, much better now. Next up on the bench, customer brought in two handheld blowers. This one they've already tried tinkering with because they broke off the nipple off the carburetor, so that's not going to be good. This one though, I can already tell it's probably going to be a double X. So why can I take pretty much one look at this blower and know I'm not going to work on it? Well, these blowers weren't made to last that long in the first place. Some of them do, but some of them just don't have the lifespan, especially if they're not taken care of. This one is missing fuel lines. They're completely hard and rotted out. The primer bulb, it's very hard. So I know if the fuel lines and the primer bulb are in that condition, the diaphragms in the carburetor are just as bad. We know it needs a service, spark plug, air filter, but what completely makes it to where I won't work on it is this pull rope right here. See how it's already hanging out? The problem with the design of these is that if you have any pull rope issues, you have to tear the entire thing apart, every single bit of it. That would be like an hour, $80 worth of labor just to fix this pull rope. I ain't doing it. So this probably sold for about $100 brand new. It's needing a carburetor kit, fuel lines, fuel filter, spark plug. Who knows when the pull rope's going to go out. You know, it's too much of a gamble for such an old blower. So this one gets a double X. Now this Echo blower, I hope I can get it running. Any of the gray units of Echo made by Curates, they were some of the best units ever made. If you take care of them, they will last you a lifetime. So first we're going to check compression. Because I took a look inside the piston cylinder and it doesn't look that bad. I did see a little bit of muddy gook, rusty like stuff, a fluid. I don't know what that is yet. We got 130 pounds, which is like excellent. So we've got a decent looking cylinder, perfect compression, and amazing spark. But we got a broken carburetor. And on top of the nipple being broken off, whoever messed with this last put the gaskets and diaphragm back in the wrong spot. They're supposed to go under this plate. Do want to go ahead and take a look. Well, it doesn't look that bad. Maybe you can see that's a liquid, that brown stuff right there. I don't know if that's water that was in it. I'm not that concerned about that. I don't see any scoring necessarily. I don't know, this one's sort of a gamble. It is an older unit. It could be possibly 25, maybe 30 years old. So what are my options? I could replace everything with OEM parts, but you're looking at like a $70 carburetor, an $8 air filter, a plug, fuel filter, fuel line assembly, grommet, all that kind of stuff. For a huge gamble on a 30-year-old blower that the coil could go out at any moment, the rewind might break, something could possibly, with that kill switch and the handles, something else could happen. That's a huge gamble to take. The blower, though, does still have a ton of potential with 130 pounds of compression and currently has beautiful spark. So what should I do? I think I'm going to go with aftermarket parts. Now, HIPAA has a carburetor that they have listed on their site that is for this is a PB, a power blower 230 LN, low noise. But they have one for the SRM 230, which the engine is pretty much the same. The carburetor is the same, but the kit that they have is for a trimmer. So the air filters are not the same. The tank grommet's not the same. I do have an air filter and a tank grommet in stock. And for $13.99 for the entire carburetor, I think I'm going to go for it. But I'm going to have to order that in before I can make that repair. Now, there are other aftermarket brands I saw on Amazon, but like I've said before, I don't trust any of them. HIPAA has proven to be, pretty much quality. But I will go ahead and try theirs again, but I'm not going to take the chance with the other ones. I just haven't had good luck. Well, 2 fixes, 2 future fixes, and no fails. We're doing pretty good. So guys, thanks again for tuning into Chickanic. If you find yourself coming back over and over again, think about hitting the subscribe button. And if you ain't tired of me yet, check this video out right here.